Hi, everyone. Welcome to Weekly Affirmations for Creatives, week 26. I'm Michelle Tracy Berger, and I offer a weekly practice of affirmations to help creatives be mindful about our inner game, that self-talk. How do we think about the possibilities? How do we represent that to ourselves? This week's affirmation really gets at, I think, the power of expansive thinking. And sometimes, when as writers and as creatives, we look out at the challenges that realistically do confront us, we become very contracted. This affirmation helps us to inhabit a more playful, expansive space. I allow myself to entertain writing dreams. I allow myself to entertain writing dreams. I allow myself to entertain writing dreams. This affirmation came to me because I think it's just so needed in this moment where we are being challenged as creatives with all the things, right? With the rise of AI, with in writing, with the challenges in the publishing world right now. So, in the very real objective world, there are challenges. However, I think it's also really important to do that inner work that allows us to engage our imagination, to seek out possibility thinking, and to kind of get back in touch with that inner kid, that inner child that lives in all of us and is a big force of our creative aspirations, right? And so I allow myself to entertain writing dreams. I want you to ask yourself, when did you just sit down or walk and daydream about what you want your writing life to be like, to feel like, to look like? And just no holds barred, right? When was the last time you did that? Probably for most of us, it's been a while that we had no agenda, that we engage all of our senses in terms of what we like our writing life to be like, what that writing dream really looks like, what it feels like. And we know, and I've talked about this in other videos, the power of visualization, the power of rehearsing positive moments, expansive moments. Athletes do this all the time. Top athletes are always using visualization. So, rehearsing what we want to feel and experience allows us to be looking for that in the more objective world, and it gives us that inner knowing, that sense of, okay, this is what this could feel like. I did this way before I had my short story collection Doll Seed came out in 2024, and I did use a variety of tools. It took me a number of years to get a contract for my short story collection, and I used all of the very logical, doing active things in the world, like submitting my manuscript, refining the stories, all of that. But I also used other kinds of imaginative practices, creating vision boards, doing my affirmations, keeping myself in a positive mindset, that really, and imagining what would it be like to be on book tour. So I got to go on a book tour, and I had mentally rehearsed and performed that in my mind. And that gave me so much energy to keep going. So affirmations and these kinds of practices, they can expand our thinking. They can give us momentum to keep going. And they can just be this, amazing, just in feeling our that creative aspect of ourselves, being back in touch with that. I think this affirmation is another one that in last week's affirmation, I talked about mirror work. Mirror work is going to a mirror and saying your affirmation, looking yourself in your eyes, right? And really getting a sense of your physicality and connecting what you're saying. Do you believe what you're saying? You know, mirroring and mirror work allows you to have that feedback loop. So if you're just saying affirmations, I allow myself to entertain writing dreams. I allow myself to entertain writing dreams. There's no energy in that. You know, you can probably feel I'm not embodied. When you're doing mirror work, you have to look at yourself. You have to feel the uncomfortableness, perhaps, of what you're saying if you're not in alignment. And then you can take a breath and breathe and relax and try it again and just get a sense. And it may not land as you're doing mirror work, right? So this might be something that there's a lot of, let's just say you have a lot of resistance, right? That you haven't really connected to that childlike wonder, that maybe you feel like you're just jaded right now and you can't connect to that. Okay, fine. So you don't do mirror work. Try this affirmation when you're walking outside. Try this affirmation to music. Collage this affirmation, write down in your journal, do some visual thinking around it until it becomes that you really do feel like you are connected to your writing dreams and that you know what that might feel like at the biggest, most expansive level, as well as the very everyday level. So I'd love for you to try this affirmation, practice it, do mirror work, and yeah, drop me a line in the comments. How does this land for you? And also, how are your affirmations going? If you've enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like. That always helps the algorithms. Also, of course, subscribe to the channel so you get all the good stuff every week and every time I put out a video. And of course, as always, stay inspired. Great. I'll see you next week.